you can achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. I don't think the school forces too much boys to want to do this or that. I like that the school tries to keep the boys on the right path. But I think the message that comes through is whatever you want to do, we can help you do that. And you're worthy of accomplishing that.
It's Teruriketa from Our Kids, and I recently spoke to UCC alumnus Christopher Birks, who spoke about how UCC helped him in his pursuits, even when he stumbled upon some roadblocks early, and the opportunities that the school provided him. Okay, so Chris, just to give the viewers a sense of who you are, can you start by giving us a summary of what you've been up to since graduating UCC?
Absolutely. I graduated from UCC in 2006. I left for Scotland basically right away to go to university at the University of St Andrews. I was there for 4 years and then went on to study a master's degree in London in the UK as well. After which I worked in a number of places around Europe, Cyprus being one of them, France another. And then I went on to work for the Office of the Prosecutor at the International Criminal Court. And finally, I landed where I am today, which is practicing as an international commercial lawyer at a law firm in London in the aerospace sector.
Oh, okay, wonderful. So from Toronto to Scotland is quite the transition. How do you think UCC influenced your choice to go to St. Andrews and to study what you did study?
Well, I mean, I'd start by saying that UCC made a dream like going to St. Andrews possible in the first place. It was actually not a school I was even aware of, but in the last 2 years of my time at UCC, I got chatting with the university's officer at the school, who at the time was David Matthews. I'm not sure if he's retired now, but we got chatting about the various options available to me. And I had basically said to him that I was looking for an adventure. And I wanted to be relatively far afield, but I wanted it to be in English, preferably. Okay. So that narrowed things down a fair bit to sort of the British Isles, to somewhere, either Ireland, the UK, and we sort of got talking about St Andrews, and I paid a visit to it in order to interview. Absolutely loved it, and so that's how I ended up there.
Cool. And I know it was a while ago, but if you could remember your time back at UCC, and if you were to write a resume listing your experiences, your accomplishments, your highlights, what would that look like?
My accomplishments at UCC for St. Andrews?
Yes, before St. Andrews, yes.
Right, okay. So I suppose my accomplishments at the time would be, and I've got to jog my memory here a bit, it was heavily in the vein of history. And actually what I should have said as part of my previous question, what drove me in part to the UK was my love of history. At UCC, I was the president of the history club, and I was also an assistant to the school's archivist. UCC has an archivist, which is a function of the fact that the school, founded in 1829, is older than the country itself. And so I was, very interested in that, and at UCC felt like I was sort of living a part of that history. So there was that element. I was involved athletically. I was on the badminton team, both as a singles and doubles player. I played competitively as part of I think it's called the Concert of Independent Schools, CISA, against a number of schools in the region. Mm-hmm. Apart from that, I was involved a great deal in I was involved in the band. We traveled. I recall to Calgary for a concert. What was it called? Sort of a concert band competition out there. I don't think we won, but we had a lot of fun. And lastly, I was involved in the Model United Nations, which was really fun. That the symposium, bringing people from all over the world, was held in Montreal the year that I was part of it, which was very fortunate for us. And we had the somewhat difficult task of playing North Korea on the Nuclear Disarmament Committee as part of the Model UN. So that's a bit of a snapshot of the stuff that I was up to, apart from the academic subjects I was involved in.
So it sounds like you were doing a lot. What was your proudest memory at UCC?
So I would say my proudest moment would have been going from being in a difficult place academically, at the beginning of high school, to achieving a general proficiency award at the school, which was a function very much of UCC's Learning Center and the support network available at the school, which helped me to develop techniques for studying, focusing, creating the right learning environment, and getting me motivated. So there was a big jump over the course of about a year from not achieving what I wanted to be achieving to being on track to go to a very good university abroad.
Great. And then if you could jog your memory back even more, prior to attending UCC, if you can think back to that decision-making process, you and your family chose to go to UCC. Do you remember how and why you chose UCC?
Well, I mean, the school does, to an extent, speak for itself. It is very much at the top echelons of independent schools, not just in Ontario, but in the country. But actually, I had some heritage back when my grandfather attended UCC. That would have been sort of in the 1920s, and I have actually a copy of one of his textbooks from the 1920s, which was emblazoned with the school's crest, sort of in a sort of leather-bound bookface, very elegant. Nothing like the sort of standardized textbooks we all used today, but the goal of my parents was to get me to go to an excellent school and use that to move on to an excellent university and so on. So I distinctly recall going through the process. I must have been 10 or 11 years old at the time. I wrote the SSATs. I think there may have been an interview, and I remember going into the preparatory school just at the end of grade 6, meeting with the head of school there, or it must have been the head of admissions actually, who informed my parents and I that I'd made it in, which was a very happy moment for all of us. They gave us a brochure with a sort of map of the school. I think it was a redrawing of a map from a very long time ago, and the whole experience felt like you were living history, which was very exciting for myself.
So you mentioned your proudest memory at UCC, but if you had to pick one thing that you appreciate most about attending UCC, what would that be?
I would say that there are a number of things that would compete with each other, and I could rail off 3 or 4. But if I had to choose one, I would say that UCC has the facilities and the resources at its disposal to allow someone to pursue excellence in whatever field of endeavor they choose to pursue, be it dramatic arts, in sort of the athletic pursuits. Obviously, UCC has world-class athletic facilities. We have wonderful art and design facilities, both the digital arts and painting and drawing. We have world-class English teachers, foreign language teachers, not just French, German, I think even Mandarin. If you have a passion, UCC will have the ability to nurture it.
Absolutely. And then what other things what did you appreciate about UCC?
Well, not just the facilities, but the people. The teachers were incredibly inspiring. Many of them had excelled in their subject in their own sake prior to actually joining the school to teach their disciplines. I would say there is also the incredible Common Ties Network, which is the UCC Alumni Association, which is really helpful to introduce boys who have just left the school to people who have attained a certain level of success in the fields that those boys might be interested in. But it also is really useful for keeping boys linked to the school as they grow up. So in my case, for example, I've been in the UK for 14 years now, but there is not a year that has gone by where I haven't met with dozens of UCC boys via the UCC UK London-based alumni reception, which is always really fun, and in on some occasions was actually held in the Canadian High Commission, the embassy to the UK. So I mean that would be a big one. And finally, I would say it does feel a bit like your living history. The school, as I said, is older than the Confederated country of Canada. It has artifacts dating back to the early 19th century, Victoria crosses, uniforms, things like that. It just gives you a sense of the gravity of what you're living, that people who have achieved excellence and have made, had pages of history written about them, have attended that school and walked those halls along with you. So all of it together makes for a truly valuable experience.
For sure. And if we could step back and take a bit of an objective look, what would you say differentiates UCC from other schools? I know you probably heard, things about other private schools as well. And in your, from your perspective, what is that one thing that makes UCC different?
Well, I would start by saying that it is the history of the school. I mean, the reason why UCC is called Upper Canada College is because when it was founded, Ontario was still called Upper Canada. You have lots of great private schools, independent schools around the country, some of which are single sex like UCC, some of which are not. But I can't think of one that has the story that UCC does. Whose story stretches as far back as UCC's does and is as illustrious as UCC's is. I would say that is the biggest distinguishing factor. I haven't attended those other schools, so I'm sure many of them have similar levels of excellence, but that's what I think makes UCC really stick out. Probably one thing I would add as well is the International Baccalaureate, although that is not unique to the school. I think that sets it apart from a lot of schools, even very good schools in the country.
And if UCC were to become personified, if it were to become a single person that we could get to know, how would you describe his personality in 3 words?
Okay. I would say the 3 words I would use would be, or phrases I would use if I could cheat a little bit, would be values driven, ambitious, and distinguished.
Okay. And then could you elaborate on values driven?
Sure. I'd say the school inculcates in its students a sense of community, a sense of responsibility for the community, and a sense of moral purpose, not just that success in its own right is the objective, but success in a manner, in a form that one could be proud of.
And then you mentioned ambition is ambitious.
Yes. Would you like me to explain why I think?
Sorry.
Well,
please
I think there is I think you attend UCC in all its grandeur. I mean, you approach the school from several miles away, and you can see the clock tower rising up on the hill. And this is in the center of the largest city of the country. You do have a sense that you are part of something great, and that if you play your cards right, great things await you. And so I would say that UCC boys do leave the school with a sense of drive, a desire to achieve in whatever field of endeavor they are embarked upon.
And you did touch upon this already, but what would you say are the or what would you say is the school's highest values that they implement in actual practice?
The highest values to implement in actual practice.
Right.
Well, I don't know if there's any single value they implement in actual practice, but I think it's more the idea that you can achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. I don't think the school forces too much boys to want to do this or that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that the school tries to keep the boys on the right path, but I think the message that comes through is whatever you want to do, we can help you do that, and you're worthy of accomplishing that.
Mm-hmm.
So in practice, I suppose what that means is boys are given the choice of subjects. I mean, that's not unique, but also when they get into those subjects, there are loads of extracurriculars that flow from those subjects. You can study theater arts as part of the International Baccalaureate subject program, but you can then participate in an extracurricular production in a professional grade theater.
Mm-hmm.
You can be part of physical education as a subject in your early high school years, but you can then join the hockey team and play an Olympic class uh, facility with coaches who have professional experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the message is whatever you want to achieve, you can do that, and we can help.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think students and families would find surprising about UCC?
Surprising about UCC. I would say it's that not every boy that goes to UCC is a boy of means, whose family is wealthy,
Mm-hmm.
who are from the surrounding area. School draws boys from um, all kinds of socioeconomic backgrounds through the various scholarship programs, but also from around the world via the boarding program. So the makeup of the school might surprise parents, given the reputation UCC has of being sort of the upper crust of the school system, as it were.
Right. And as you know, every school has a poster child. Describe for me the typical student at UCC and how you remember the boys relating to each other.
The typical student at UCC varies such a great deal that I would struggle to do that. I think a unifying characteristic of UCC boys is they're bright. They have parents who want them to succeed. The way they interrelate with each other can vary a great deal. Uh, young people can be very kind to each other and very hard on each other. It depending on the age. But the way the boys interact with each other is generally speaking very positive, and the interrelationships between them could be described for the most part as camaraderie. We have a campus up north of Toronto called Norval along the Credit River, where sometimes the boys have the privilege of going up together to spend time outdoors, by campfires, playing games like capture the flag, walking along the river, identifying certain types of wildlife. But this is a sort of camping experience, and that does a great deal to bond children together.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm a little all over the map there, but the point is that UCC boys vary a great deal, but the relationship between them is usually very strong and lasts for a very, very long time. Some of my best friends to this day, in spite of the fact that I've not lived in Canada for 14 years, are
Mm-hmm.
from UCC. Some of them are even here.
Right. Right. And if you had to pick one thing you could change about the school, what would that be?
I would say that being a student at UCC gives you a sense, which is, I think, fair, that you are receiving the best education that money can buy. But I think when you're young and you're made aware of that, you must also be made aware that your view is not the only view, that there are people from all walks of life in the real world who have not had the same experience as you. And you need to be open-minded to those people and to the very different experiences they've had. So, while UCC is not, I can't think of any particular incident of boys being made to feel that their opinion is special, but I think there needs to be a very robust reminder and a regular reminder that you are very lucky, but out there, your view is not the only view.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how has your perspective on the school and on your experience there evolved over time, especially now that you're no longer attending it?
I think my perspective has not necessarily changed, but it's become richer as I've seen the benefits the school bestows on its students over a longer period as I get older. When I first left, I was incredibly grateful that the school backed me up and was there for me when I was falling behind and helped to bring me to where I wanted to be so that I could go where I wanted to go. To that has been added my appreciation, as I've mentioned previously, the appreciation for the Common Ties Network, for the fact that the UCC experience is not limited to the number of years that you're at the school. It lasts far, far longer, and so that has been particularly important, and that has only come into my awareness as I get older. I would say that would be the primary thing that has evolved in my thinking about the school. But another thing I would mention is that you sort of don't realize when you're growing up that going to an all-boys school is very different from what people might perceive as the normal way of going to school, particularly outside of the UK or Canada or the Anglosphere, where it's much less common. So I guess I didn't appreciate when I was younger that there was something very unique about that. And the more I talked to other people who had very different educational experiences, public or private, the more I realized that is a very unique way of doing things, and it has its positives and its negative attributes.
Mm-hmm. And would you recommend UCC to other students? And if you do, what would be the 3 biggest reasons why somebody should choose to attend UCC?
I would wholeheartedly recommend students to go to UCC if they have the opportunity. And I suppose the 3 biggest reasons, not to sound like a broken clock, broken record, I think is the term, is the facilities and resources to make dreams come true, to enable a student to accomplish things and gain excellence in things that they had not considered to be possible before. I would say another big thing is you're walking in very big footsteps. You're walking in a very long and remarkable line of students, and that feeling of the gravity of where you're attending pervades everything you do. It can be intimidating at first, but once you get used to it, it is a strong force that drives a person to achieve excellence. And finally, I would say when you get out of UCC, once you graduate, you will never be without a network of old boys to depend on, both in a professional sense, but also much more importantly in a personal sense. Mm-hmm. And so I'd say, all the way from being at the school and benefiting from the programs, the facilities, and the teachers that UCC has to offer, which are unparalleled, all the way through to, even being late in your career and having the very fond memories kind of brought back by meeting at whatever alumni reception, younger students who are just at the beginning of their journey and who you can help in turn. Those are all very important things. And so, again, I would strongly recommend going to UCC if you have the chance.
And outside of those three reasons, is there anything you would say to a family that's considering UCC?
I would say to them that UCC is a very special place, um, that makes all kinds of things possible, uh, and it is a worthy education. You've got nothing to lose by sending your son to what I consider to be the best school in the country.
hmm And then lastly, what would be your one piece of advice to a student that is just about to enter UCC?
It's all very intimidating when you start. The halls are big, the clock tower is very high, but you are part of that now, and you don't need to be afraid of it. Make the most of it, because no place can give you the resources and the backing, both in terms of facilities, but probably most importantly in terms of people, to accomplish whatever it is that you want. So you've only got a couple of years there. Make the most of it.